Well, for most little girls growing up, Disney princesses give us our dream: a handsome prince, a fairy tale wedding, and two perfect little kids. But unfortunately, life rarely delivers what fairy tales sell. So how do we handle those disappointments? Claudia Cantrell joins me to help figure that out. You had that dream, and I think, like a lot of people, we just assume it's going to happen. Everybody just finds that person, gets married, has kids, right? That normal life.
Exactly.
Normal. And when that doesn't happen, so what happened with you? Tell me a little bit about your story.
My story, my journey, the book is about my journey through singleness, trying to find where I belonged. I went through a lot of rejection, a lot of pain, a lot of bullying when bullying was not cool. So that led me to the rejection side of, I filtered everything then through that rejection route, from friends, from unfortunately some family members, things like that. And I built up an enormous wall that would be hard for anybody to get down. I just decided at one point, I'm just not going to let anybody hurt me anymore. But then I had the questions, Lord, what about my dreams? What about all those things I want? And he said, well, you give me you completely and totally, which is a hard place to get sometimes. I'd become a Christian and believed in Jesus Christ since I was 9. But I had not made him true Lord of my life. I wanted some control, I think, like a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't always like the story he writes for us necessarily, or at certain seasons of it anyway.
Exactly, but he taught me a lot. It taught me how to get to the end of myself, end of the self-sufficiency, the end of the pride, and to see him. And I had to trust him, fully trust him with my past pain, with my future, with my dreams. And so when I surrendered those dreams, and it was through a time of brokenness, it wasn't easy. I mean, I was a stubborn person, so I wanted some control. I wanted to have things my way a little bit, but you don't put God in a box, and you don't limit his power and say, you're on my timeline. No, he's not on our timeline. We're on his, and we hold back our own blessings when we do that. So he had to break me because my stubbornness was so bad. And I mean, break me all the way down to the floor, to where I was just screaming to die. It was so much pain, but I saw him at that point.
When you say that, it sounds like God's kind of a big meanie. Sorry,
No.
Right?
No, he's not at all. He wants the best for us, but he has a permissive will that he allows us, that he's all powerful. He could direct us any way he wanted just by not letting us have a decision, but he allows us to have decisions. And at times when he would tell me to go one way, and you read in the book, I went my way a little bit, and I suffered for that. He loves us to death. There's no greater love than Jesus Christ and the Lord, and he wants us to know that. We get full of our own self-image based on the lies that our enemy tells us, all the way from childhood. He started in the Garden of Eden with Eve and said, God's holding out on you. And she had some pride. She said, oh no, I think I'll eat that apple. So he's still using those lies that get in our head, and we have the choice. We believe them. And all of a sudden we believe them, and then they get rooted. But when when I got to the end of myself, and I had to look back on all that rejection and all that pain and all the offenses that I was really holding. I'm sorry, I was. Then I had to learn not only to see Jesus as my complete and total value, when I would never compare myself to anyone else again. He was my value. He made me. He knows me better than anybody. He loves me so much, he died for just me even.
Well, I think about so many people now are single, whether that's through divorce or never getting married or being widowed. And sometimes, the real issue is not just forgiving other people who've hurt you, but really forgiving God. Because why would you give a husband to that person who's obviously more messed up than me, or whatever, however we compare and rate ourselves, and not to me? What is it about me that you're withholding this from me, right? Those are the kind of questions I think that singles start asking.
I agree. God is never holding out on you. He's never, ever holding out on you. He has the best plan for your life, but you have to trust that. We hold back our own blessings out of our own pride, which he hates, out of disobedience, which he doesn't like. He can't bless us with our wonderful blessings he's holding as long as we're so disobedient in so many ways to him. He wants the best. The main thing is salvation, and then it's obedience to him. Do we trust him? or do we not? And he's waiting to pour those blessings on us, but he can't go against the nature of God.
And there's this moment that you had where you really surrendered, like, okay, God,
Absolutely.
if you are going to have me single, and you were single past
Oh,
50, so
absolutely.
it's like that's a long season to wait, and that was a desire of your heart. You had to surrender and say, I don't understand this, but I believe that you are good, and this is the best thing
Absolutely.
for me. And how did you get to peace with that? You know, because I think a lot of singles feel it's not only on themselves, they get judged by a lot of other people who are like, when are you going to get married? Why aren't you married? You're too strong a woman. You are too picky. Like everybody tries to help you by coming up with reasons.
Your peace comes through the real abiding. Because the Bible says, if you abide in me and I in you, I'll give you what you ask. But when you abide in him, you really know him. And he exchanges your desires for his desires for your life. And then there's no fighting anymore. He loves you so much. And he wants to give you more than we can ask or imagine. And he did. He did with me. But I'm not going to say that every time you surrender all your dreams and everything to him, that you're going to have every single dream you want. That's not what I'm saying. But he wants the full trust in him to do the best for you. The peace comes with that. The closer you get to the Lord Jesus through reading the Bible, through trying to understand, he'll speak to you. And the peace comes through that. He is peace. He is love. But he may change some of those desires, because I don't believe everyone was necessarily chosen to be married. But he's got Paul said that. I think it's Corinthians, he said that. But he's got something special for every single person. One of my favorite verses is in Isaiah 41, and it talks about, you are my servant, I chose you. I did not reject you. He does not reject one person. Now, Satan can tell us that he does, and that he's not going to.
Oh, he works very hard at that.
He's
all
not
the time.
going to, absolutely, and he's not going to fulfill your dreams. You go out and get it for yourself. And that's where on a slippery slope, because when we put God in a box, limit his power, and put him on a timeline, then we're saying, I'll take over. I'll take over. You are headed for disaster.
Right?
You're going to hit the wall.
That is so true. I think that's probably the truest thing you said this whole time.
My
It's like,
goodness.
that is disaster in the making. Well, I would love to unpack how you did meet a wonderful man at 54.
Oh, yes.
You've been married for how long now?
4.5 years.
Okay, but what I want to ask you about that is now in retrospect, like looking back over your life and seeing, the relationship you have now, do you have a better understanding of why your life unfolded the way it did and why God did it the way he did?
He needed to change me. He really needed to change me. We can't change ourselves. He needed to change me. I needed to get to the point where I saw him first, always, instead of my husband. And I had to really love Christ first and really say, I'm at peace, whether or not you give me my husband or whatever, he'll change that. But I came to peace with that. My life was, as I said, full of rejection. There was a lot of bullying in school, but the rejection went on. It went on, and as the book will tell you, it went on. But I had to start to speak truth to myself. And chapter 2 in the book goes through that, the lies that especially single women tell themselves, I'm never gonna get anybody. I'm gonna be single the rest of my life. What am I gonna do financially? And they'll marry someone that God does not have for them. So you have to tell yourself the truth. And that's over and over and over, because Satan hits us with lies constantly. And we have to take charge of those lies.
The book is Sacred Love, A Journey of Singleness, Belonging, and Finding True Love. Where can people pick this up?
You can go to the website. We have a website. It's cantrellministries.com. You can get it on there. You can actually read the first 30 pages from the website. Just click on the book and go down. You can order it. There's places to order it. But you can certainly read the first 30 pages and see if you like it.
I enjoyed reading it very much.
Thank
and I
you.
think your transparency and your honesty about the toughness of the journey, and then the breakthroughs that you had, and the way that you came to peace long before your prince arrived.
Absolutely.
I think that was a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing it with us, Claudia.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, you might be saying right now, this is me, and I don't know if I'll ever find that prince, and I can't seem to find peace. We'd love to help you with that journey. If there's some things that Claudia said today that maybe you think, in my life, I need to think about this, I need to face this, I need to pray with someone about this. We'd love to pray with you and encourage you. You never have to be alone.